So before we dig in too much to the Jaylen Brown side of things, the trade, how it went down, now that everything's absolutely official, we know that nobody's going to fail a physical, that Jaylen Brown is absolutely going to be a 76er this year. I want to dig into that. But before we do, we obviously still have to talk about LeBron. Lately, it's starting to look like it's more going to be Cleveland or Golden State. Basically, do you think you can win now with Cleveland? Or do you want to go have some fun with Golden State and play out your last year, 2 years, whatever it might be, with Steph Curry? Obviously, both of those options, absolutely legendary for LeBron, but I think there's a little bit of a flaw there, and I want to dig into it a little bit because there's something that's been nagging me that I've been meaning to talk about. As it pertains to LeBron going back to Cleveland, if you really dig into the board here, and you look closely and you think about the production last year, how these players played together, what they do well, what they don't do well. You go back to the playoffs and it seemed like Harden couldn't buy a bucket. Now, he came in late. You can blame it on whatever you want. I think Father Time is undefeated and Harden is just getting to that point where the creation is becoming harder. He still has that guy inside of him that can go out and drop ridiculous numbers. It's just not going to be nightly anymore. He's going to be ball dominant. He's going to want to distribute. And he's really not shooting first as far as we've seen in Cleveland up to this point. And if he is, it's terrible shots at that. Mitchell just hasn't played defense. A lot of ugly play in the postseason. Mobley and Allen, when Allen is good, Mobley is an absolute non-factor and you can't really count on him for anything. And then the exact same way the other way around. There haven't been a lot of games recently that I can think of and what I was looking at stats-wise where both of them have really played up to their potential. And then you slide LeBron into that lineup. You get a lack of three-point, shooting. I know Mobley is a little bit of a shooter, but you're not getting a good three-point spread. Teams are just going to kind of zone out the paint, try to create a wall, and it's just going to make scoring really tough. So I just don't really see the fit. I understand the talent, the names that are there. I know Mobley could be an unbelievable player. I know Allen is a great center. Harden obviously has done what Harden's done over his career. He deserves respect for what he's done in the past. But if we're being realistic and we're talking about 2026, I just don't think that Harden and Mitchell is the guard rotation that's going to take LeBron to another championship. I think they would have an awesome season. I think throughout the year they would play well. You'd see ups, you'd see downs, but they would have a good year. But I genuinely don't think that this team goes 6 games against the Knicks the way the Knicks are right now. What is the point of joining that team if your first matchup is against New York and then they go out and they continue what they did last year this year? It just doesn't make sense. Obviously, you've got the Heat, you've got Timberwolves, and you've got Denver here. I don't think Denver's really an option. I don't think the Heat is actually an option. I don't think it makes any sense. I think they're at very least a year or two away. The Timberwolves are actually the one that if it was me personally, I think that's your best bet. You still have the Spurs, you still have the Thunder, but with that kind of talent and LeBron at the center of all of it, I think that's actually the smartest pick out of all of them. Now, a lot of rumblings lately that he could just go to the Warriors and just have fun with Steph. Again, awesome in the regular season, but you get to the postseason, and I just don't think it's a recipe for success for anyone there. I think Steph needs as much help defensively and extra shooting around him as possible to just get him to the playoffs where he can then get hot and he can do what Steph does and he can carry the team the rest of the way there. But he's going to need a lot of help throughout the season. He has Jimmy Butler, kind of a defensive anchor there. We'll see what happens with Draymond Green's contract. You imagine he's coming back at a lower number if he hasn't already. What it really boils down to is the fit. LeBron fits best in Philly. He slides into that power forward spot. Dean Wade takes a bench role. You then have the rookie on the bench. You have Simons on the bench. You have guys that you can move around. You have one more roster spot. I think you could make a lot of noise with this roster the way it stands right now. Again, when it gets time to go to the playoffs and play the Knicks, do we think any of these Eastern Conference teams can beat them? Surely somebody has a shot. I imagine the Knicks are not going to be as hot this year during the playoffs as they were last year. But then again, they're bringing pretty much everybody back. Minimal changes here and there. Andre Drummond fills in at center, so they'll continue to have a little bit of a defensive presence and a great rebounder. And the rest of the guys can just do what they did this year. So it doesn't really change much. I think LeBron to Philly is your best bet at an Eastern Conference Finals. Any further than that, it's anybody's bet. I don't like the Cleveland fit. I don't like any of the other fits. I don't think most of the teams have what LeBron needs. And if he really, really, really wanted to win a guaranteed ring, he would have already signed with the Knicks, the Spurs, the Thunder, one of those three teams with LeBron, and you're going to win another ring because he's going to be that last piece any of those teams need to get them over the hump to take them where they want to go. So for LeBron, it's boom or bust. I think there's a lot of ifs, there's a lot of maybes around everybody, but just come to the Sixers. Let's just end this now, right?